welcome back to The Insight. I'm so excited for today's episode. It's going to be on toxic relationships. We've all had one. Whoever hasn't had one, good on you. But I'm so excited to get into my different interviews. I've interviewed two different people today, Mava and AJ, and they get into their own toxic relationships, their own experiences, and how they've been able to overcome it, and how it's even made them feel. I feel like a lot of us have been through toxic relationships. We've all gone through a relationship that hasn't favored us, or maybe we are the person that is doing toxic relationship. But we'll get into that one later. I'm gonna start off with Mava, who is a very, very, very close friend of mine, and she has a great story to tell. So let's get into it.
I've had experiences in toxic relationships with both men and women, but the one that really got to me was the lesbian relationship I was in last year. And basically what happened, I went through mental abuse, physical abuse, and just to say that the person got me so out of character that we were both toxic. So, you know, she would beat me up, I would fight with her. She would tell me that I'm ugly, that I'm fat, make me feel worthless. But like, even when I'm going out with my friends, whether they're straight girls or not, always harassing my phone, always making me feel some type of way. When I finally had the courage to leave her, she continued harassing me for months, sending me messages on all platforms, creating new accounts. So she even messaged me on Gmail, just creating stories, creating conversations. Remember, she's even messaged you. She's messaged up like all of my other friends, harassing me at work, at home, threatening to come to my house when I'm not here. And obviously, because of my mom, you know, it's kind of like ill and stuff. She played with that. She would try to get to me any way she would. And even when we were together, she would try to make me look bad in front of my mom, because she didn't really have a support system like I did when I came out. Okay, so I'm gonna get like raw and gritty into it. Basically, I moved to Paris this year, and didn't have a house, I don't have money, so I was myself to men that are more fortunate in terms of expensive and that couldn't afford things that I can't. He was just meant to be a client, and then we ended up vibing and we ended up going out with each other. From that was definitely a red flag, but then I ignore red flags and I hate the money, and he's got money. So we got to know each other more, but then with him, I realized that even though he shared things that I was interested about, so like, you know, willing to pay for things like my plastic surgery and things that I'm actually interested in, I realized that it was kind of like an obsession to try and want to change me. At first, it was like, okay, I'm getting a BBL for free, cool. But at some point, it was like, you met me this way, but you're always trying to judge me. And like, you know, people in France, they have this mentality that everyone needs to be classic, everyone needs to be a certain kind of way. And like, even when we'll go out to restaurants, because in France, people are not used to seeing like big girls wear tight outfits and stuff. It's such a big deal over there. Like, I wore something like a t-shirt like that, but for him it was too tight. He wanted me to change. But I was like, no, I've changed 3 times now. I've changed like you've asked me to. So he decided not to come to the restaurant with me because he was embarrassed or whatever. I'm very vulnerable. Like, some people might think I might go really far to get to a stable position, so they might use that to their advantage. Maybe, yeah, so I feel like in both relationships, that's kind of the case. Like, someone that's quite vulnerable, I think, with my heart. Like, even if I don't like this person 100%, I'll feel bad, and I'm still gonna try and make it work and maybe grow to like them. And because I'm not so sure of myself and I'm thinking no one's gonna come to me, then I just take it in. And I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it kind of I kind of opened the door for certain things that I could have avoided. Thank God I've got good people around me. So if I was alone, I don't know where I would be at today. So yeah, well, obviously, you know, I like to address the elephant in the room, like the fact that I've got a deep voice, I've put on weight and stuff, and I've got people like getting onto me. It makes me question my femininity, and the way I feel about myself. Obviously today, don't anymore, but it's still something that wanders my mind, and I still think about changing myself in the future for other people in a way. Well, the way I carry myself now is that I'm still young. There's no rush. Like, I know I can still be loved. Everyone deserves love, and I don't really apply it to my day-to-day life as much as I used to anymore. So I'm more sure of myself now. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. Whatever decision I make is about what I want and not anyone else's influence. Negatively, obviously, they've made me feel a way about, my weight and my body image, and, it's played with my body dysmorphia, things like that. Comparing me to girls that they see on social media has made me feel quite in a way, because you're trying to reassure yourself. You're like, okay, things are going left, but at least someone's wants me, someone's going out of their way to do all of this for me. Maybe they're doing all of this, they're crying, they're shouting, they're trying to kill someone else for me because they love me or they value me. I'm just that precious to them. But that's a very toxic mindset to have.
The reason I loved Maver's interview was because she got into some very, very key points that all of us have experienced. A lot of the times we're in relationships with people that we see as overprotective, and it can be disguised as sweet. A lot of the time it's not. That person is possessive and that person is unhealthy. Anyone that values you does not want to possess you as if you are some sort of object. I feel like a lot of us have been in relationships with people that feel like they have some sort of ownership over us, and no one can or should own you. You are your own person. Even in a relationship, you are your own person with your own brain, your own thoughts, your own ways of doing things, and your own motives. It's only when someone comes in and wants to possess you when it's unhealthy. Maeva got into how her relationship took a turn for the worse in the end when she decided to part ways with her partner. Again, it's extremely toxic for someone to constantly harass you when you decide you no longer want to be in that situation. Anyone that feels like you are their object or you belong to them will go crazy as soon as you try to leave them. And that is the number one sign of toxic behavior. No one owns you. No one can dictate what you want to do. You was born in this world alone. They are not involved. Please, fall back. And if you are someone that is a perpetrator of this behavior, take a check. Take a look, okay? And I want people to understand that having an over-controlling nature, trying to control who's in your life, where they go, if they decide to leave when you're not ready to let them go, you need to understand that you are also guilty of toxic behaviors. You are not in the place to come and harass anyone that feels like they no longer want to be a part of your life. Maeva also got into something that I feel like a lot of women especially go through in relationships. Not to try and play down on whatever men go through. If you go through this too, it's very important to understand that this is completely wrong. A lot of us have been in relationships with people that want to control everything we do, and that is an objectifying nature. Do not allow anyone to make you feel like they are in control of you. You are not my God. And that is that. A healthy relationship is being with someone that loves and appreciates your individualism. Someone that loves how you look. No matter if you want to lose weight, no matter if you want to put on weight, whatever you want to do with yourself, your partner should be in support, in full support of whatever you want to do with yourself. Taking responsibility for the type of people you attract is also very key. A lot of us have unhealthy desires, unhealthy habits, which lead us to fall into the wrong type of hands. Maeva got into how she wanted money and she wanted to be looked after, but a lot of the times, wanting to be looked after and relying on people for any type of favours can leave you in an extremely vulnerable position. It's very important to not rely on people that you barely know or you're just getting to know, because a lot of the times they don't have the best intentions and they like to use anything to their own advantage. The way insecurities can play into relationships is huge. When you don't believe that you yourself are capable of making your own money, making your own life for yourself, or you just don't want to be lonely, a lot of the times you stay in relationships that are not benefiting you, that are actually taking away from you, that are actually draining you. Once you are fully comfortable with yourself, you'll be comfortable being alone. And that is until you find someone that can complement you, your attributes, your desires, and everything that you want for your future life. So when you come from a toxic relationship that has been playing on your insecurities, you will go into another relationship and project those insecurities onto your partner. It's very important that we keep away from people that want to play on our insecurities and people that want to try and make us feel like, oh, maybe because they're going so hard for me, or maybe because they want to beat everyone up for me, I must be so special. No, you're not special. That person is mad. Maeva made a very good point that a lot of us actually feel when we're in a toxic relationship. When your partner is going so hard for you, calling your phone 15 times a day, asking you where you are, who you're with, and they're willing to slap anyone for you, you start to think, oh my gosh, maybe I'm so special that this person's willing to risk it all. No, it's a very insecure mindset to have, to feel like someone that is mad, that wants to do mad things. The reason they want to do mad things is because I'm so special. No. Here, reality check. Anyone that wants to do mad things in the name of love or in the name of my link or in the name of possession is not okay. It's important to know the difference between appreciation and obsession. So let's stop hailing up the mad people around us and start getting into healthy cycles.
I think people look at the word relationship and don't see how broad that is. By that, a relationship could be, a financial relationship, a romantic relationship, a relationship with a friend, co-workers, with a job, schooling. You go from the beginning, don't you really? The first toxic relationship I probably ever got into was a relationship with my parents. Born in a Muslim households, there was always an expectation upon myself as a child, but there was never an expectation on them as parents. It was a very, very tough relationship, and it's a relationship I've had to, unfortunately, sever ties with now, because it was a relationship that was quite toxic to me, and actually, it was always a detriment to myself. And the one thing I refuse to do today is anything that compromises my soul. One parent didn't do drugs, another one, prolific drug taker, thief, liar, cheat, beater. So at the end of the day, really, from a very, very young age, my expectations in people were nil to none, really. So the foundations of life were set upon me to really not have great expectations for people. With that, I guess in a way, really, you then start to gravitate towards people that are somewhat like her. Whether that be men, whether that be women, whether that be friends, and actually your real sort of idea of your own self-worth is near non-existent. Because actually the people that should be laying the groundwork and infrastructure for you as a person, if they don't value you, respect you, then in turn you don't value nor respect yourself. So, that relationship really, really, set me up for a lot of heartache in later life. But, also as well, it's been very fundamental to the man that I am today. So it's very, very easy at the time to feel like a victim. And when you come out of it for a while, to feel like a victim, I think the question that we need to ask ourselves once we've been within a toxic relationship is, how long do you want to be a victim for? It's a very, very big question. I've thought about that many times. Unfortunately, and this does happen to a lot of people as well, not only do you become a victim of toxic relationships, sometimes as well when you haven't been taught how to love honestly, kindly, sincerely, you then become a perpetrator of, you know? So the victim then becomes the person that then does that upon other people. And that's the part I've always felt bad about, you know? And, 15, 16 years old, it's from a guy that was always sort of put down, this ugly duckling turned into a swan. And from having no opportunities come by the bundles load. And again, with that comes, something I never knew how to handle because you never really experienced kindness, love, and attention. So with that, comes vanity, ego. And yeah, I met some really, really nice ladies along the way. I was probably a real to be fair, because I don't want to give one person a real chance. I put all my eggs in one basket. So then after you find yourself being dishonest and, lying to women and actually really good people, really, really good people, it's, because for me, I'm then after all somebody else is putting me through, I'm using this as an outlet to then validate myself. I'm seeking validation and gratification from multiple outlets because, inside, I feel about myself, and it's, how can I say, it's, how are you truly ever going to be able to love anybody when you don't love yourself? Okay, you know what, if you sit down and reflection is essential, it really, really is. But at the same time as well, I try to never really look back. But sometimes we need to look back to see how far forward we've come as people. That's natural progression. How have they impacted me would probably be the best way is, I've probably missed out on many great opportunities. I've met many, many great people. And actually, if I was open to, to receive maybe some of the heartache that I, underwent and perpetrated upon people would have been eradicated. With that as well, everything happens for a reason. The most negative thing it's done to me for a very long time, and I say that in the present tense because I don't feel like it's an issue I carry now, but I did for a very, very long time, is that, I had all this love from people, and as a child, with the relationship with my mother and with my father and with my family, the one thing I craved is love. When I finally got it, I didn't know how to accept it. And I say the one big thing it done was, the one big thing it really, really done for me as a man, messed me up sexually, to be fair, because I wasn't able to commit. So it gave me major commitment issues. And also as well, the issues it gave me is why do you love me? Because I'm thinking, every time somebody was acting loving from me, we're from North London, mate. And unfortunately, the way it goes is, the only time people show love is when they want something. So for me, again, in my little head, I'm like, why is this person showing me love for? What is their real motives? So it made me very untrustworthy, and it's, I think the moral of the story when you've been there and stuff like that is, what? How can you love somebody when you hate yourself? You're unable to. When you're in a toxic relationship, it ripples out. It's not as big as that. You need to see it as a ripple. Throwing a stone in the water, there's waves off of that. So the first thing off of that, 1, toxicity. 2, lack of self-worth. Off that, the back of lack of self-worth is, you start putting yourself around people that just aren't good for you. You then start going to places that aren't good for you. We then start filling ourselves up with stuff to fill in that void. We then start eating food that makes us feel lethargic. We then start talking to people that make us feel worthless. And it ripples out and ripples out and ripples out. And the next thing with that actually, with insecurities and stuff like that, I was flying high, good body, good job, I had everything that anybody could desire, but I was still very, very insecure. If you haven't got a solid foundation, you're never gonna have a solid building. And I had to break myself right back down to the beginning. And I was on my knees. I really was, and I did not know where to turn. didn't like myself. I allowed many people, women, families, work to make me feel inadequate. And I did not want to be here. I didn't. When in actual fact, you know what? I was a good person. I had a lot to offer the world. I just needed the tools to learn how to love myself. The best form of validation is self-validation. I don't seek nobody else's validation today. I don't care. Could not give. As long as I like me, I'm happy. You know? And start putting yourself around the right people. You know? If you walk into a room and you're the most confident, the most spiritually connected, and the most happiest person in the room, you're in the right room. Surround yourself with life's winners. Put yourself around these people. Playing with better players enables you to up your game. Don't waste your time on people that are just no good for you. That's the thing with insecurities. Don't seek validation from external sources. Look at yourself. Some people as well, narcissists, and that's a very big word. Narcissists will use these tools to control you. Why? Because they don't want you to realize how beautiful you are. They don't want you to realize how special you are, how funny, how gifted, how talented you are. They don't. Why? So they can control you, because they don't want to lose you. Them people inside are the most insecure, most lost, most, empty people out there. And you're letting them take your power from you. You know what the biggest thing I would have liked to have heard from my older self is? It wasn't my fault. And that'd be the first thing, because that takes away the anger, the resentment. You start to think, have I done anything wrong? One, I would say, if I could put my hand on my younger self shoulder, AJ, it wasn't your fault. You cannot be a part-time person of principle. It doesn't fucking work like that. You either principled or you're not. You can't tweak the game to cater for people that are just living wrong. You can't make excuses for people's shit. Either you're principled or you're not.
AJ's interview was very, very important for a lot of us. A lot of us have been in a toxic relationship from the moment we've even entered this earth. And it's hard to acknowledge that our parents are actually very toxic. When you're younger, you see your parents as the be-all and know-all, the all-knowing, someone that has all the answers. But a lot of the times, people are people. People are flawed. People are not always capable of giving you the best type of love or the best type of relationship. Toxic relationships with parents is very dangerous because that is the first type of relationship you actually experience and accept as normal. Our norm of relationship is then moved on to all of our other relationships throughout our lives. And if your parents have not done a good job of showing you love and making you acknowledge your worth, you will go into relationships and feel like you don't need your worth acknowledged, or you wouldn't even acknowledge your worth in the first place. Our relationships with our parents sets us up for the type of relationships we deem as acceptable. And then the victim then becomes the perpetrator. If your parents have a habit of just not acknowledging you or not allowing you to know your self-worth, you will then go on to a relationship and carry that sort of behavior into that relationship and project that onto your partner. A lot of us want to talk about how, I've been in this toxic relationship. We're so comfortable pinpointing the wrong in our partner, but sometimes we don't even acknowledge that us ourselves are toxic. Our insecurities that we project onto our partner is very toxic, and it leads to an unhappy relationship. Toxic relationship with parents then results in a lot of us not knowing how to accept any type of healthy relationship because we have normalized dysfunctional or up and down type of relationships. Toxic relationship with parents is actually very, very hard to stomach because a lot of us grow up and we're unable to recognize what real love looks like, and we're unable to accept healthy relationships. We're only used to dysfunctional ones, and those are the ones that make us feel comfortable because that is our norm. A lot of us need to ask ourselves, what is our relationship norms? What type of relationships have we normalized? Have I normalized arguing, fighting, possession, obsession with my partner? Have I normalized projecting my insecurities on my partner? Have I normalized constantly needing reassurance because I feel very, very insecure? Or have I normalized the normal healthy type of relationships. It's important for a lot of us to accept that some people just don't know how to give love. Some people's relationship norm has been so dysfunctionalized from generations, and you are not responsible in going to your ancestors' and trying to liaise with them about why they didn't treat your great-grandma the way she needed to be treated, and that's why your mum or your dad does not know how to show you actual love. We also need to acknowledge that no relationship we're going to be in is going to be perfect. We are all flawed human beings. Everyone has something wrong with them. Everyone has an issue that they haven't fully worked on or healed from. But the difference between being toxic and having faults, toxic is a set behavior in a human being that they refuse to work on. Someone that doesn't want to work on it, someone that doesn't accept that there's something wrong with them, that is being toxic. Having faults is different. A lot of us want to work towards getting better and not having that issue anymore. So when someone's open to accept their faults and wants to work towards being better, that is the difference between a fault and a toxic person. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun watching this episode. I learned so much and I hope you guys learned something too. I want us to understand that lack of emotional intelligence is very rife. People don't have the tools to cater to people emotionally, and that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Stop trying to change mad people, okay? Thank you. And make sure you tune in next week where I'm going to talk about bad upbringing. So yeah, be there or be square. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next episode.